Hello, I'm Kathy Koslett, and this is Cooking Classic. We are in the Kowalski Auditorium in the Culinary Arts Center, the Joseph A. Palomini Culinary Arts Center on the campus of Luzerne County Community College. Thanks so much for joining us, and please meet Chef Michael Langdon. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
I'm terrific. I'm glad you're with us. Michael is the executive chef at the Huntsville Golf Club in Shavertown, Pennsylvania. He has also sous-chefed under the famous Georges Perrier at the famous Lebec Fin in Philadelphia, as well as David Burke at Smith & Wolinski in New York. There's some pretty big credentials you have going on there.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I stayed very busy, you know, in my career, and I worked under some really great chefs. I was really, really lucky.
You have,
really
and we're
lucky.
glad that you brought it all home here to Northeastern Pennsylvania, too. Yeah.
It's great to be back home. You
Thanks.
know, bring back some of the things that I learned over the years, you know, for everybody to try. It's great.
Now, today he is going to be preparing a pan-seared chicken breast, correct?
Absolutely.
With sweet potatoes.
Yes.
And Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
So here goes, because I didn't tell you about some of the other ingredients, just because some of you probably with the Brussels sprout thing went, but he's going to show you why you're going to like Brussels sprouts when we're finished, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll be quiet and let you get started.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. So first,
Fantastic.
first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to season my chicken breast. I'm going to get a nice sear on that. We're going to get that in the oven. After that, we're going to kind of move on with the rest of the dish. So first thing I want to do, I'm just going to use basic kosher salt. You can find it anywhere. A little bit of black pepper. And it's really important to always season both sides of your food. You just want that flavor to kind of permeate through the whole thing.
I have to ask this, just because you said a little bit of black pepper.
Right.
I tend to like white peppers. Does it make any difference? Or what's the difference in the flavors?
I think, you know, it's just a matter of preference.
Okay.
You know, I like to use white pepper when I season fish. Because I don't like to speckle it. It kind of disappears on the food when you get a good sear on it. Things for like mashed potatoes or like a hollandaise sauce. You want it to be unspeckled as well, so we'll use white pepper.
Do you think there's much of a difference in the taste?
You know, white pepper can have a tendency to have a little bit more heat. Just like spicy on the tongue, hot.
So it sneaks up on you.
It does. So a little bit can go a long way. You have to really use it sparingly.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go back to my promise. Quiet and let you cook.
Okay. So essentially, what I'm doing here, I'm going to begin to sear the chicken. Okay. You know, there's several ways to do it. This is the way that I like to do it for a few different reasons. I'm going to sear it skin side up. Okay. Now you'll see the skin is up. All right. Once I get a nice sear on the bottom, I'm going to flip it over to the skin side, and I'm going to put it right into the oven.
Okay.
What that's going to do is there's going to be some residual heat in the pan, and it's going to slowly render down the skin as it cooks, and it won't burn because it's indirect heat in the oven.
Okay.
So it'll become nice and crispy, and it'll be just like a nice golden brown.
What temperature do you think you have that? And I don't mean temperature. We're talking about a high heat, a medium heat?
I mean, I would say a medium to medium high heat.
Okay.
You know, I'm using just a basic blended oil because it's got a very high smoke point. You know, some people can use olive oil. For something like this, though, you know, I want to get the pan a little bit hotter to get that nice sear, so I'm going to use a blended oil. So essentially, I like to use meat forks a lot. I'll just kind of lift it up, and I'll look underneath and just kind of see how the sear is going. All right? I'm just going to adjust my heat.
What's in a blended oil, by the way? What kind of oils are blended in that bottle?
It's just standard oils. They vary. It could be grapeseed oil, just a regular like second press olive oil. Some of them are extra virgin olive oil and just regular olive oil. You know, this is like a 90%, 10% blend. All right. So you're going to get some nice flavor from the extra virgin, but it's more olive oil. So you know, you can cook at a higher temp with it.
Oh, that looks nice.
See, I just get a nice sear there. All right, it's going to be nice and golden brown. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take it right off the heat. I'm going to put it right into the oven. Now I have this oven set at about 400 degrees. All right, and depending on the size of your chicken breast, it could take anywhere from 10 to 14 minutes, we'll say. Okay.
That's not very long.
It really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, this whole dish, you minus a little bit of the preparation, half hour, 45 minutes, and you could.
All right, so we could have this all ready before
Absolutely.
we head off to work in the morning or whatever, and then
sure,
we might, yeah.
Sure. I mean, a lot of chefs, we always talk about mise en place. And that means everything in its place. You'll see I have everything pre-done, and it's really going to help you in the kitchen. It's going to help your timing. You don't have to stop and start cutting. And
we already talked about that. That's
right.
the worst, isn't it? The timing of it all.
So that's the thing. If you have everything ready, you could just kind of go from one thing to the next. You don't have to stop if you accidentally miss something or a part of a recipe, an ingredient. So essentially, the chicken's going. We're going to start on the Brussels sprouts now. Medium heat. Okay. I add a little bit of oil to the pan, and I'm going to add
bacon.
A little bit of bacon. Okay.
What's a little bit of bacon?
A little bit of bacon.
Here, I'll take
this is about, I want to say about a quarter pound. We'll say. Okay. I have it small diced, sliced very small. What I want to do here is render it down. Now the reason that I add a little bit of oil in the beginning, because bacon contains a lot of fat,
right.
All right? But the reason that I add the oil is so it doesn't stick. We don't want it to stick. So a little bit of oil just to prevent that, and then it's going to render down nice, okay? So really, what we're doing here is just kind of rendering it down. We're pulling the fat out because we're going to use that fat from the bacon and the flavor to saute the rest of our ingredients, all right? I try to use the analogy when I build dishes like this or a soup, it's kind of like a house. You need a good foundation. If you have a weak foundation, the end result's going to be weak. So you want to make sure that you take all the right steps. So I mean, if you start off with bacon and anything, you can't go wrong. So.
And we keep moving this around. We don't let it sit there again. You don't want it to stick.
Initially I don't. It'll start to stick once we add some of the onion and garlic.
Okay.
But that's fine. Sticking is fine because we're going to deglaze with
anyway.
some chicken stock.
Okay.
And that's just building more flavor. It's, everything's going to start caramelizing.
Okay.
The sugar is going to develop, things of that nature. So when we
sounding really good.
Yeah. So when we deglaze, we're going to pull all that flavor right back off the pan, and it's going to go right into the Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
So it's going to be really, really nice. So I'm just going to turn the heat up a little bit on this. Now, when I do this, I like to get the bacon a little bit crispy because at the end, once we add the stock, that's going to really halt the cooking process of the bacon.
Okay.
So if it's crispy, you add the stock, it'll still have that texture to a degree. If we started building it now, when the Brussels sprouts were finished, they would have like that fatty consistency. So you want a lot of that.
That would not be good.
Right.
No.
Well, it wouldn't be bad.
Okay.
It wouldn't be bad.
But it will be better.
But it will be better. Right. You can see it's starting to stick a little bit here, And in the kitchen we call that fond. F-O-N-D, fond,
okay,
right?
fond.
And that is essentially, what sticks to the bottom of the pan, okay? And it plays a really important role in everything that we do in the kitchen. Now you can see I started off with a small amount of oil, all right? Now that bacon is starting to crisp up. Now there's, a good amount of oil in there, okay? Now we're going to use that oil. Here I have Spanish white onion, just a standard onion you could find in the store. There's about 1 cup of onion there, okay? Now it's going to seem like a lot of onion. Onion is a stronger flavor, okay? But we're gonna take these a little past sweating them. We're gonna start to caramelize them.
Okay.
So it's really gonna knock out a lot of that hot onion flavor, and it's gonna start, like I said, developing the sugar, all right? And we're just building flavor. Okay? Now you'll see some of that bond, if you will, started to pull off of the bottom of the pan because the onion, it contains moisture. So that's almost like a first deglaze.
That looks beautiful. Look at the difference in the bacon already.
That's it,
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's really, really nice. And, these flavors, they just go so well together. You get a little bit of smokiness. You're going to see a little bit of the sweetness when we add the maple. You're going to get that heartiness, from the Brussels sprout. So it's really balanced. It's not just sweet or salty or, you want to try and hit, all parts of the palate when you make these dishes. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of that for our sauce. So here I just added about a tablespoon of minced garlic. All right, and I add that a little bit after the onions, only because it's a mince. It's smaller than the onion. If I add it too early, there's a potential it could burn. And if it burns, it's going to get bitter. And if it's bitter, I mean, nobody really wants to eat that. So we're going to kind of just get this going. All right.
It smells really good.
Now, a lot of people, you know, they might be tempted to like kind of maybe open this up and see how it's, you know, see how the chicken's going.
Don't do it.
No, as soon as you open it up, you're going to let all that heat out, you know. So if you have a specific timing as to when it's going to be done, you know, you just added minutes to it because you let all that heat out.
So we're talking about 14 minutes or so for the
Roughly.
chicken. And what about now for the Brussels sprouts? And I only say that because ahead of time we were talking about timing.
Right.
How that's so difficult when you're in the kitchen for people that don't cook all the time.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Chef Langdon.
Sure. Well, I mean, when it comes to the Brussels sprouts here, you know, I took the time to quarter them.
Right.
Okay.
They're little now.
Think, you know, a cabbage, but baby. You know, so they're going to cook a little bit faster. Some people leave them whole. Some people cut them in half.
Okay.
You know, for the sake of time, and you know, if you're, you know, in a rush to have dinner and get dinner done, you know, if you quarter these, they'll cook up relatively fast. 10, 11, 12 minutes. And, you know, let's not forget, too, we could always adjust this.
Right.
You know, so if they're starting to cook and you still have a few minutes on the chicken, just turn the heat down.
Okay.
Not a problem. Okay, now, you'll see the onions here. They're starting to get a little bit caramelized. All right, now all those flavors are going to start to develop.
Nice.
They're going to
It
get really
smells good,
nice.
too.
So next, I'm going to add our Brussels sprouts. I added roughly about 2 cups of Brussels sprouts here. All right, and they are quartered. And I did cut the stem off the bottom. Okay. That stem is really fibrous. You know, you don't want to get it. You want to trim that off.
Okay.
All right. So it's going to start to sizzle. Okay. Now I have the leaves. Anything that came off. You know, it's all flavored.
It looks great though.
You know.
It really does. It's pretty.
It's a lot of fun. It's, you know, and with a dish like this, you know, like we said earlier, people are, you know, Brussels sprouts. They have this, like, you know, stigma about them that, you know, it's not a fun vegetable. But I mean, you know, a recipe like this, you could really take it to the next level. It's a lot of fun. They're really, really good. So essentially what I'm going to do here, I added the Brussels sprouts. And I just kind of want to saute them a little bit.
Okay.
All right. I just want to kind of get them coated in some of that bacon fat. Let the flavors develop.
All right, while those Brussels sprouts are cooking, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll finish that up, and you will find out exactly why you're going to love Brussels sprouts. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Cooking Classic. I'm Kathy Coslett, and I am with Chef Michael Langdon from the Huntsville Golf Club in Shavertown, Pennsylvania. And he is making seared chicken breast with Brussels sprouts and a sweet potato puree. Okay, we're midway through or three-quarters of the way through? Where are we?
We're almost there.
Okay.
Okay, so we added the Brussels sprouts. We gave them a little bit of a saute. All right, the next thing I want to do is I have just maple syrup.
Okay.
Just what you would use on pancakes in the morning. It's as simple as that. I'm going to add about a tablespoon right over the Brussels sprouts like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of shake it around, get it kind of coated in there. Now you can start to smell that maple, and that's going to pair up really, really nice with that smoky saltiness of the bacon. Okay. So we have that in there.
And with
just
those
like
sweet potatoes even.
Absolutely.
I'm interested in trying these because I have to admit, I am not, I like Brussels sprouts, but it wouldn't be,
I think we're going to change your mind on
here we
Brussels
go.
sprouts. Absolutely.
But I love sweet potatoes.
All right. Well, there we go. There you have it. So we added the maple. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of chicken stock. Okay. Some people have it at their house. You can use chicken broth, you know, at any of the local stores. Anything like that, it's the same. So I'm going to add roughly 1 cup right over the top of those there. And then I'm going to reserve a little bit of that for the sauce. Now, see how it started to really pull everything up off of that pan. Now, the color of that chicken stock compared to the...
Look at the difference.
Right? That's just flavor. It's all like we're building a lot of flavor. Now here, I have some fresh thyme, okay? You're going to get a lot of earthiness from this, okay? So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle in. We have our stock in here. We have our thyme. Now I'm just going to carefully, I'm going to season this. Just a little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper.
Okay.
Now I go easy with the salt because of the bacon, okay? Right. The bacon, you know, has a salty flavor. So you can overdo it. The bacon, you know, it's going to season it slightly, all right? So while this is reducing down.
Could you leave it out too and then let someone add salt to taste when it's finished, or you would prefer adding a little bit to it?
I like to season everything.
Okay.
You know, if I had it my way, you know, we wouldn't have salt and pepper shakers on the tables.
Okay.
You know, we like to season everything in the kitchen and you know, just kind of really get that flavor where it needs to be. I mean, but you know, some people, they like to season it a little bit more, a little bit less. So, you know, you want to accommodate for everybody. Absolutely. All right, so in the back here, our sweet potatoes have been boiling away. All right. Salted water, and that's it. Nice and easy, okay? What I'm going to do here, I'm just going to drain our potatoes. Now, there are a couple different tricks to sweet potatoes. They have a higher moisture content than other potatoes. So you really have to be careful. Don't be afraid to kind of let them sit and you know, let them kind of just like steam. All the steam that's coming out, that's the evaporation. So they're going to dry out a little bit. And if they dry out a little bit, it'll give us the opportunity to incorporate a little more fat, i.e. milk or cream or butter. So we're going to be able to just kind of put more flavor in there, you know? So we want to get that liquid out so we can add our own. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of butter. And I like to use heavy cream in the kitchen.
I was going to say,
now,
that looks like heavy cream.
You know, you could substitute it with milk, and that's fine. You know, just the heavy cream is something that we use. It has a little bit of a higher fat content, a richer flavor, you know, and that's how, like, sometimes you go out to a restaurant, and you're like, you know, they're just mashed potatoes. How do they get them to taste that way? We'll use heavy cream instead of milk, you know. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm just going to let all those flavors incorporate. I'm going to season them lightly here with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Okay. We're just going to let those do their thing. I'm going to slide these over. Now we're going to check on our chicken. All right. So we have our chicken here. Okay. Now, earlier I had mentioned we'll flip it over onto the skin and kind of let it render down and render down. All right. Now, look at that.
Look at that. That's amazing.
See how that is?
Yeah, that's
I mean, you
incredible.
could, you know, it's so crispy. It's almost like a cracker, you know?
Great.
And that's really it, you know? So what I want to do here, now, I'm just going to add a little bit more oil, only because I'm going to add the rest of our garlic here, maybe about a half a teaspoon, okay? Then I'm going to add a little bit of shallot, okay? And we're going to make a little bit of a pan sauce. All right? Now, we want to sweat that a little bit.
All right, and we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish up, plate the dish. See you in a few minutes.
Make your life better by Deglaze. Choose from over 100 academic and career programs. Go to an accredited college at the area's lowest tuition. Earn your degree or transfer your credits to a four-year college or university. Take your life to the next level. Achieve your career goals and reach your fullest potential at
Luzerne County Community College.
are back on Cooking Classic, and we are finishing up our pan-seared chicken breast, sweet potato puree, and those wonderful Brussels sprouts.
We pulled the chicken out of the oven. All right, we added our garlic and our shallot. Okay, now we're just going to sweat that a little bit. All right, by sweating that, we're just going to, like I said, I always talk about building flavors,
Right.
flavors. It's really, really important for the end result. Okay, so we have that sweat. Now, I'm going to use Marsala. Okay, it's a fortified wine. All right, you can find it anywhere in any cooking section. You know, you could find sherries, Marsalas, your reds, your
Right.
whites, things like that. You know, so again, this is something that's really, really accessible or easy to find, you know, at the supermarket. This whole dish, you know, you could find. So what we're going to do, we're going to deglaze with the Marsala. Now it contains
Okay.
alcohol.
So
So what
back
I'm going
up,
to do,
Kathy,
you
right?
might want to back up a little bit. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull it away from the fire, all right? And I'm going to add it in, and we're going to start to deglaze. Okay?
Yeah, but
Now-
smart to tell us
Right.
to pull it away from the fire.
Right. Now,
Yeah, because look at the
now,
difference.
see,
right?
it'll flame up a little bit, and a lot of that alcohol will evaporate. But sometimes people make the mistake of adding it over the flame, and it'll flare up, and it could just lead to a
Yeah,
disaster,
catastrophe.
potentially. Right.
A day in the kitchen to remember.
Or yeah, or maybe one that you want to
Wanna
forget.
forget.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we had our Marsala. Now that's a sweeter cooking wine.
Yeah, it smells
okay.
good.
You know, the garlic and the shallot. You know, some of the natural juice from the chicken came out into that pan. You know, and it was kind of stuck to the bottom.
Yeah.
Again, that fond. Everything sticks to the bottom, and we pull it up. You know, that's
Okay.
kind of what we've been doing. You know, so when we deglaze, it's going to pull all that flavor up. All right. It's a sweeter flavor. It's going to pair up really nice with the Brussels sprouts. You have that maple. You have the earth. You have the the smoky bacon. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to add a little bit
That
of
chicken
this.
broth?
Absolutely. Just about a quarter cup. Okay. And we're just going to let that reduce down, and that's going to be our sauce.
Okay.
When we pull the chicken out, you know, we'll finish it with a little bit of the butter. Okay. Now what I want to do here is just mash these up. All right, so we're there. So I'm gonna shut the heat off there. All right, just kind of let that do its thing. Now we're gonna take these
There's my
potatoes.
sweet potatoes.
That's it. Just want to mix these up a little bit more. All right. Now, I'm just gonna set this right here. Now we're ready to plate. Kind of like this. And then I'll just take like the tip of my spoon and just kind of push them down and make like a little bit of a channel there.
Okay.
Put those right in the center,
Okay.
just like that. All right. Now we have like a little groove for some of the sauce.
Oh, look at
Present
how
it
beautiful.
right on the Brussels sprouts like that. So you have like
Oh,
a nice
that's
little bed.
great.
I'm going to take just a little bit of butter, about a tablespoon. All right. I'm going to add it to this sauce just to relax it a little bit. You know, because when you reduce, the flavors are going to intensify. Now we're just going to take a little bit of fresh parsley. Okay. We're just going to add that right in. All right. And that's it.
Yeah, that
you know?
looks totally different now.
Right. So we're going to spoon a little bit
Isn't
of
that
that.
beautiful?
Just kind of over the front of the chicken.
Oh, now I know why you were so excited. Look at that.
That's it. And then we're just going to kind of
Oh,
spoon a
that's
little.
great.
Just like that. And that's it. That is our pan-roasted chicken breast.
Amazing.
Smoky bacon, maple Brussels sprouts with our sweet potato puree.
Well, Chef Michael Langdon, thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And we'll
it was
see
a
you
pleasure.
up in Huntsville.
Definitely. I'll
Thank
be there.
you very much. And
Thank
thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time on Cooking Classic.